And welcome to another fine edition of It's a Sports Show. That's the way they say it down south. Fine stuff. As always, Scott Cray alongside me, Dolphin Paul. I haven't come up with a nickname yet. Need to come up with something. How about Theo? Call me Theo. Theo. Anyway, a dark day. We've taken a week off last week.
No show last week, and
right. Because
apparently we thought we had buried baseball and probably going to come up with a some type of quick Theo announcement this week. But lo and behold, as we're taping the show, it's Thursday, so the story's a few days old. But the big story, which broke Monday afternoon, as we all know, is that our good friend, general manager of the Boston Red Sox, former general manager, Theo Epstein, walked out after getting the money he was seeking.
And it's all Dan Shaughnessy's fault.
Well, that's a big part of it, and this story is taking on a life of its own.
Just kidding, Dan. Oh, by the way, since our last show, the World Series actually came and went.
World Series, Chicago won 4 in a row.
You know what I'm saying?
AL 8, NL 0 the past 2 years. What does that tell you?
I mean, it's good when you're a Red Sox fan, but it sucks when you're just watching it from a perspective of another team doing it. I want to see 7 games. I want to see some drama, not 4.
And we talked about this earlier. It's one of the lowest rated World Series ever. But, you know, Houston and Chicago White Sox, I mean, it's great that the White Sox won 1917, but...
Right. I was excited to see it for like the first 2 games.
Yeah.
And then after that, when it was apparent that Houston just wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
At that point, I
Give
didn't
the
care
White
to
Sox
watch
credit.
anyone.
They led all year long, and
Yep.
we weren't sure if they were for real or not. But, hey, listen, they beat the defending champs.
You know what? I still question if they're for real or not, but they were for real long enough to win the World Series. That doesn't make them for real just because they won the World Series.
What kind of malarkey is that?
Oh.
I question if they're real. They won the World Series. How can you question anything
They were just
now?
for real for...
Did you get bad candy for Halloween? I know we didn't have a
didn't get any
Halloween
candy.
show, but did you get apples with anything in them?
Yeah, like Farrah here, who produces our fine show, or directs it, or switches buttons, whatever you want to say that she does.
She's a fine producer.
I'm thinking she's got some candy on her desk somewhere, right? Because she's into that trick-or-treating and bringing in candy. So I'm all excited. I see a jar. I know she's got candy. It's candy corn.
It's
In
full
my
of candy
opinion,
corn.
The worst possible candy any human should
I had
have.
one because I'm such a sweet tooth. I'm just a sweet tooth. I had one.
What's the worst candy in your opinion? I think it's candy corn.
No, well, that depends. I mean, we need a whole show to define candy, but those little tart things that roll up, those tart little tablets, those are terrible.
Sweet tarts?
Yeah, we need
You make them sound like Maalox.
Yeah, we need chocolate, baby. That's what Halloween's all about, chocolate.
Did you ever get a toothbrush in your
No, I can't say that I got one. Did you get one? No.
It would just sound like... Anyway, we should be probably going back to this whole Theo thing, you know?
Well, I mean...
I don't care.
Here's the story.
To be honest with you, I don't care.
You don't?
About Theo leaving? No. It doesn't... I don't care either way. I think the success of the Red Sox organization last year, not this past season, but last year when they won it all, was in part due to many heads. Theo, maybe Lucchino, Terry, the players on the team. I think I think it involves so many different people that to see one of them taken out of the mix doesn't necessarily bother me all that much. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that he's a nice young guy, and it would have been nice to have someone for like 10 years, maybe even 15 years within the organization. But, you know,
well, the bottom line is...
No attachment, maybe. Maybe that's...
Well, I mean, the bottom line is they had a young GM,
right?
Okay, who was groomed by Lucchino. That's one of the problems. This is your classic mentor, teacher versus student.
Right.
He was GM for 3 years. They won a World Series, which, you know, since people are kind of taken for granted now.
Yep.
I'm sure Theo would be the first to admit that it wasn't all him.
Right.
I mean, he made some moves. The problem is Larry Lucchino has a lot of power, and the Red Sox are a PR machine. So these negotiations started a while back, which we talked about, which I thought they lowballed Theo a little bit. He was only making... Some people say $350, some people say $550, so we don't know. So they started him, I believe it was around $900,000,
right.
And we discussed that a few shows ago, that I thought that was kind of low. You know, he is young. Certainly he doesn't have the experience of other GMs, but most people would agree that he seems to be a future star.
Definitely.
As far as a general manager.
He made some very good moves 2 years ago.
He made some good
seasons
moves.
ago.
Obviously, he probably had the blessing of Larry Lucchino, I would imagine.
Right.
But now, they got into these negotiations. I mean, I thought this would be like a done deal. It only makes sense.
Yeah.
They bring the guy in, 3 years, he's only getting $400,000. He did a great job.
Right.
By all accounts.
Right. And the youth is a big part of this.
Youth's a big part. They could have this guy here forever.
I really thought that they, especially when this article came out in the Globe on, it would have been the 30th, where the day before everything went sour. On the 30th, the article came out in the Globe saying, hey, it's a wrap. Everything's great. They're going to get along. Things are looking bright from here.
Unfortunately, that's not the only thing that came out in the article. The problem is the Boston Globe owns 17% of the Boston Red Sox, or has a 17% share.
Right.
Now, that article that Dan Shaughnessy wrote, titled "Let's Iron Out Some of This Dirty Laundry," and if people haven't read it, they can go to Boston.com and print the article.
Right.
It's basically skewed towards Larry Lucchino.
Right.
So
you think that was engineered?
Well, that's almost so obvious because, I mean, the article really dumps on Theo,
right,
and says he wasn't a baseball player. He didn't play baseball. He's not, by all accounts, a great baseball mind. He was groomed into the position. Larry Lucchino played baseball. Theo now thinks that the people that groomed him, now he doesn't need them. I mean, the article's pretty slanted.
So you think that was engineered, and I happen to agree with you. And
maybe engineered, maybe leaked.
It helped because that possibly was enough to final cap off,
And Theo pointed to that article
right,
as one. It was probably the last straw.
Right.
I mean, certainly there's some
but my
friction in this relationship.
Right.
And this thing came to a head, especially with this article. And they both called Shaughnessy on Friday, which is what was reported.
Yep.
And supposedly everything was fine and everything. And then Shaughnessy wrote out this article, and I mean, everybody has negotiations. They put out little tidbits of information to make
right,
your guy look good.
But this was very in-depth and very shrewd, as far as staying on one side of the ball. My question is, and it might be an obvious answer, if this was engineered, if this was engineered by the folks in Fenway Park, minus Theo, was the purpose of this to help Lucchino and the boys on the negotiation process as far as monetary-wise, or was this to completely give Theo the boot, which is essentially what happened?
No, I think it was the purpose of the article is to make Larry Lucchino look good.
So it was a PR standpoint.
That's what I believe.
Right.
In other words, put it out there. Hey, we offered $1.5 million, but this guy thinks, we groomed him. Where would he be without us? We found him when he was a young man, and we had him in Baltimore. We took him to San Diego.
So you got to be led to believe then that Lucchino and company had a feeling that
they're
there
very
was a
PR
possibility
conscious
of Theo leaving, and they wanted to make sure, hey, if this guy's going to go, we're going to make sure we make it look like, we did everything we could for the most part.
I don't even think it's that. I really don't. I just think they wanted to make, Larry Lucchino wanted to kind of give his bad side of the story and let everybody else see, like, hey, this guy, who does he think he is?
Right.
We brought him up. Where would he be without us? And I think, honestly, in the back of their mind, they thought, no way he's going to leave. This
right,
is his dream job.
Really?
He grew up in Boston.
Right.
There's no way he's going to. We gave him what he wanted. I think Larry Lucchino's big mistake was he should have fed all of this information after they had a press conference and said, well, we had negotiations. If this article came out after.
That's why I question if they had a feeling that Theo was not going to sign, because it almost seemed like there was a rush to get this information out.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just part of the negotiation, and I think Shaughnessy took it on upon himself to.
Because the point.
To print everything.
From the point that the Red Sox season ended to the point where Theo said bye-bye, or rather to the point of this October 30th article, there was nothing but bad PR towards Larry Lucchino. Oh, they should have not waited this long to bring Theo a contract. Why didn't
their
they
first
sign him
offer
a
was
year
low.
ago? They lowballed him. Everything was looking bad from a PR standpoint for Lucchino. So, in your opinion, you thinking Lucchino was saving face here?
I think
With
so,
the Globe's
absolutely.
help? And
absolutely.
now that's
it backfired
kind of
on him.
obvious.
This
Yeah, it
PR spin backfired on him is essentially what we're trying to say.
He looks worse now.
And you know what? Shaughnessy has gotten tons of email. Everybody's, sports. If you listen to sports radio, boys at 790 The Score.
Yeah.
It's been, there's maybe one
constant.
person that's come on and said, we can't put 100% blame on Lucchino, but everybody's on Theo's side. And you know what? Give Theo some credit. The guy's 31 years old, okay? He made $400,000 last year, which is, it's certainly
I'd love to have
almost as much as we make here as it's a sports show. Almost. But, our job is a lot
I hate
tougher.
to go back to those six-figure days.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Let's not ruin any. Let's not ruin anything.
Where you're going though. He's a young guy. And he said, "Look, I can't. I'm not gonna, just because it's a dream job, I'm not gonna work with this guy's crap all day."
Well, he showed some sack, if you will.
Absolutely.
Okay, he showed some sack.
Yep.
And now he swayed all the public opinion
Yep.
onto his side. I mean, the guy's 31 years old. He walked away from a dream job of being general manager of a payroll that's one of the best payrolls in baseball, so he has the resources to do whatever he wants.
And for a team that is always going to be in the playoffs at the very least, you should think.
At most, you're right. So maybe
But he didn't want to deal with
Maybe
it.
he figured, listen, I'm never going to get the full. I don't think it was strictly a power thing, but I guess he figured I'm never going to get the full reign here. So it was going to be me and Lucchino fighting it out.
Right.
And then I guess these articles and stuff like that was the last straw with the PR. And he said, listen, I'm walking away. From $4.5 million. So
Let's face it, he leaves on a good note, although he may have not have made the best decisions in the world this past season. It's funny, because this talks about, this first article on the 30th takes away some of the credit from Theo, correct?
Well, there's a question as to one trade there with, I guess, the Colorado. There's two versions of the story as to what happened with that trade.
Right.
Lucchino's version, and that's what Shaughnessy put in Sunday.
Yeah.
He put in Lucchino's version only as if that was fact.
Right.
In other words, people were led to believe that that's what happened, that Theo went up to Lucchino and said, listen, can you evoke your power of ownership and veto this trade and make Lucchino look good?
Yeah.
That was his version.
Right.
Theo has a different version. So, I think that's one of the things that really set him off.
Well, here's my point. If this Globe article was to show, if Lucchino's trying to say, look, Theo ain't doing it alone, you're giving him all the credit.
That's part of it.
looking bad.
I think he's a little bit jealous. You're
Okay,
right.
So, that being the case, then doesn't that mean that this past year, where there were some unsuccessful moves, a la Jay Payton, should have never left Boston, just my opinion. There were some unsuccessful moves. Okay, Lucchino, you want to take the credit? You take the damage control too. So this makes Theo more valuable, in my opinion, because he helped them win a World Series, and then the following year, he may have not have made as brilliant of moves, but hey, Lucchino was in this mix too, and maybe had something to do with those bad moves. I agree. Theo's young. He's got a sack. He's going to be hopefully he'll be a GM for another team, maybe not this season, but next season.
Well,
I'm going to follow him.
That's the question now. Is he said he might take a year off, and you know what? I don't think this is the case, but there's been some speculation that, the guy's 31 years old. This is a very heavily involved job. Mm-hmm. There's owners' meetings and stuff like that.
So maybe
it's a lot of pressure. It's in Boston.
Yeah.
And maybe the guy just wants to do something else. I don't think that's the case. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. As we tape the show today on Thursday, the only real opening that's available is the LA Dodgers.
Right.
So, and I'm sure they could give him a decent amount of money.
Yeah, but you're facing the same, maybe not same media outlet, but certainly the same type of lifestyle. If you're not nutty about the crazy Boston lifestyle, LA is certainly not the place to go.
Yeah,
he needs to go to Arizona and
yeah,
go
but you
find
might have a little more
nomad
control,
woman out
though.
there.
You might have a little more control.
Yeah.
You might have a little more. You don't have a Lucchino hanging over your head. You might be able to make more decisions.
It'd be interesting to see, though. Is he a good GM? When it's time for him to take full reign, is he a good GM? We're either letting a star go, or we might wipe our brow after his first season as a full GM for a team and say, whew, good thing things happened the way they did. Apparently, Lucchino
Well,
had more
if
reign
the
to
Sox are very successful and win another championship, you'll say, but if they don't win another championship for 10 years and Theo goes on to have success, I'm not saying win a championship, just put good teams together a la Billy Beane. I mean,
Right.
in other words, if this team starts to go downhill now.
Right.
Now, do you bring in any GM worth his weight in salt. He's going to come in. He's not going to put up with Lucchino.
No.
I mean,
no, you're right.
well, you get a top GM.
No, you're right.
Yeah, if you want to groom a young guy that's going to come up, that's fine. But you're not going to get a top GM.
Do that all over again. Go for someone good, but who's out there is the question.
Well, not only that, if you do go for someone good, I know there's been a couple names mentioned in the papers. These guys are going to want. They're not going to want interference from Lucchino.
No.
In other words, this was a good situation to bring a young guy in, but and their assistant GM left, by the way, to be a GM of somebody else. So I mean, if they
don't even have him.
They bring another guy in.
Right.
The guy's going to say, "Listen, I'm going to build a team my way."
Yep.
I don't think Lucchino's going to say, "Well, listen, I'm going to override."
If he does, then that makes things look even worse, because then that means in Theo.
Well, they're pretty bad now, and it'd be interesting to see how they spin this whole thing. So,
well,
I mean, it's essentially.
So far, they're 0 for 1 on the
Well,
whole
it's a big story. As we taped the show Monday and Tuesday, it's been all Theo Epstein, because I think everybody was kind of shocked and assumed this thing would get done, including us. But
I thought the big question was not even money, but could Lucchino step aside and let Theo take a little more reign than he did? I completely think it's a problem with Lucchino as far as
it's tough.
Jealousy or whatever the case may be. He's not.
And I also got a call from Farrah today, our lovely producer, who said, "Listen."
She called you personally?
She called me personally. She does that once a week, not personally. She calls me personally, but it's strictly business, and tells me that,
She calls your secretary.
Yeah, she calls my secretary and said, "Listen, we got to talk Theo today because he's cute and young, and he has a lot of money."
He's available. I could tell you that much now. Well,
he's a bum. He's out of work.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a job. I need a man with a job.
Anyway,
so we'll see how that works out, but that's a big story all week, so we'll see how it plays out.
And just to finish up on this, you mentioned an interesting thing to see how much of an effect that Theo had on this team, and we said two things. We said, first, let's watch the success of this team from this point on in the next couple of years, because we're built for success right now, and there's a lot of big moves needing to be made. And the
farm system is healthy.
Right. Not ready to come up yet, but healthy.
Yeah, but still, which many people attribute to Theo. He rebuilt the farm system.
Right.
They have some guys which we've talked about, the Papelbons and Hansons of the world.
Right.
They have a good. It's not like the cupboard is bare. So
no, they've rebuilt that fairly quickly. My thing is with Theo, it depends more on the success that he has in the future on another team in relation to how much he meant to this organization. I wouldn't look so much at where this team goes from this point on, because again, it's like I said right at the beginning of the show. For some reason, my heart's not broken because Theo left, and I think it's because so many hands, so many faces are involved in this organization that I think if you take one person out of the mix, we can still have that success. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
That could be, but the fact remains that Theo helped bring, or was the architect of bringing a world championship to Boston, which they haven't had in 1918. So that'll never be
I'm just
taken
confused
away.
as to how big of a role did he have? I don't even know anymore who had what kind of role.
And that's true. You also bring up a good point, because in New England, with the New England Patriots, who people consider a model franchise of sports,
you bet,
it's basically between Belichick and Pioli.
Yeah.
And they don't let anything out as far as, there's some people that say that if one of them disagrees, they don't make the move. They both have to be in accord with the move.
Which is the way it should be.
So, you're right. I mean, we really don't know what happened here. All this stuff is coming out, but that's a good point. But like I said, I think most people will agree that Theo is a very bright guy.
Yeah.
Obviously educated.
You hear him when he speaks on TV and radio. He's
he made the Nomar move. A lot of people didn't agree with that at the time.
Yeah.
But listen, things worked out. So we'll see where all this goes.
Anyway,
and we'll keep you updated.
That's interesting stuff. Theo in we trust.
In Theo we trust.
We in Theo trust. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Some football. We had some interesting games this past weekend.
Absolutely.
Interesting standings since the last time we've sat down together. 49ers now have their full claim to not only being the worst team. This was prior to, what did we just wrap up? Week 8?
Well,
7. 6.
No, the Pats are 4-3, so this would be week 8 because they had a bye.
We just wrapped
up week 8.
Prior to week 8, and I'm going to take 20 seconds to talk about the Niners because that's all they need. Prior to week 8, the 49ers were the worst team in football. After week 8, they're still the worst team in football, but now I think they're looking at getting like their punter as the quarterback? Because as soon as we get rid of Rattay and get Alex Smith at the helm, now all of a sudden Smith might not be playing. The backup's hurt. We might have to go to some third-string guy that's on special teams to pull it off. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, but
people don't care about the 49ers.
They beat Tampa Bay at home.
Yeah, but
they were a 13-point dog. Well, I mean, they're having some bad luck right now. Alex Smith is very young. They've had a lot of injuries. It's just one of those years.
He's hurt now, too.
I mean, they beat Tampa, which was a
Still
good
the
win.
worst team in the NFL.
Oh,
on paper.
Well, how about
on
Houston?
The field.
Who, by the way, got their first win this week.
Yeah.
Well, let's start talking. Let's start off with the New England Patriots, which is of most interest to our
big thing is
our large fan base here at It's a Sports Show.
The comeback of Wow.
What was that?
I just projected my voice. That was pretty
wow.
Good. That was good.
That was great.
Farrah,
she likes Brewski and Theo, yeah.
I think she just likes
listen,
Brewskis in general.
I've always said it. Brewski on chips was the best. Yeah. I mean, when he was on that motorcycle, dun, 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 it was great when he was on chips. But
are we supposed to ever have him on as a guest when you keep bashing him like that?
That's true. He'll never. He won't even return our phone call. Well,
he came back. He said he was giddy like a college boy once again. And he was
the Patriots played on
the
Sunday night against the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Teddy Bruschi came back. It was a big night.
Yep.
You know, people I know are going to say, I'm saying this because I'm a Dolphin fan, but I've spoken with other people who agree.
Yep.
I mean, the camera was on Bruschi 24/7.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They could have laid off Bruschi a little bit.
It was
like every play.
Chopper cam all
Chopper
over
cam,
again.
head cam, foot cam.
Yeah.
Listen, you know, enough's enough. Having said all that, he came back and played a pretty good game for a guy who was out that long.
Right.
I mean, he seems to know what he's doing. He seems to be in the right place at the right time. He seems to be making a lot of the defensive calls, and he's certainly going to be a big lift to the Patriots. However, on the Patriots side of the ball, I mean, they probably should have lost this football game. Mm-hmm. They were down, I believe it was 16-7 in the middle of the fourth quarter, and they made their usual Patriots comeback. They got a big play by Rosie Colvin, a fumble on Kelly Holcomb. And
as always, someone comes through.
Someone comes through, and they won at the end, but this is definitely not the same football team. Uncharacteristically, a lot of penalties. Their defense is... I mean, that was the hallmark of this team.
That's the problem I've got with
Their defense is not very good right now.
Brewski's back, but he's got no supporting cast, and he can't do it alone.
Dwayne Starks, he's going to be vilified like Lucchino. He's terrible.
Yep.
They're letting up big plays at an alarming rate. The one good thing on Sunday night was their red zone defense, which was one of the worst in the league.
Right.
Played real well on Sunday. So they're 4-3. That's the good news. The bad news is they play the Colts next Monday night, who are 7-0. That's an excellent match. Excellent matchup. Now, the Colts, the Patriots have had their number.
Right.
But if the Colts don't beat the Patriots Monday night,
right,
the Patriots are really going to be into their head because the Patriots, let's face it, injuries aren't an excuse, but the Patriots are hurt. They've lost a lot of guys. So
like you said, they're not the same team.
They're not the same team, but the Colts should beat the Patriots. But it's at New England. It's a Monday night game.
Yep.
It's an exciting game.
Yeah, because the big thing is facing those guys in Foxborough is where the problem lies. And if this continues as a streak, then come playoff time, and you know you're going to face them in the playoffs, that's going to be an advantage. However, if we lose to them, that might turn the psyche completely around for Indianapolis.
AFC East is somewhat weak. I mean, Buffalo is not consistent.
Miami sucks.
My beloved Dolphins, scratch that from the record, the word sucks, please. My Dolphins, who beat the powerful Saints in Baton Rouge.
I said you own Miami Sox. Miami Sox.
Yeah, they're black. They go up to my
knee. I
like
your Miami Sox.
Miami's 3-4.
Yep.
So they're technically only one game out of first. Here's the great thing. As you know, I'm going to Fort Lauderdale and to watch New England and Miami after the Monday night game. And if Miami could find a way to beat Atlanta at home, it'll be tough because I don't know how my Dolphins play. At times, they're very consistent. It's a new system, new coach.
Right.
I think they're going to be fine in the future. But they would be 4-4 if New England lost to the Colts. They'd be 4-4, and I'd be down in Miami watching 4-4 versus 4-4.
Well, even
I'm
if
excited,
the Dolphins can, what is it? Atlanta they're facing? Even
Atlanta
if they can,
at home, but Atlanta's a tough football team.
Even if they could beat Atlanta, and even if the Patriots win, going down to Miami,
absolutely.
One game down, if you're a Dolphins fan.
Where the Patriots have been 1-7 the last 8 trips, and I've been there 7 times, and the Patriots just seem to have a hard time.
Must have all about to do with you.
It's all about me, baby.
It's all because you're there.
It's my world. Everybody else is just trying to get in that.
7 years.
I've been done. This will be my 7th year. But the Patriots are 1-6, I should say.
So what's their record? Did they have that win when you were there?
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, they had
were there
it
for the past
2 years
one?
ago. It was overtime when Brady threw that bomb to I
Your
believe Trevor
mojo
Brown.
wasn't quite as strong that day, apparently.
Hey, listen, I'll take that winning percent. I'll take that winning percentage at home. And
Absolutely.
last year the Patriots were a much better team than they are this year, and Brady had that gaffe at the end where they lost to the Dolphins. But that's always a tough game. But
Right.
hey, I mean, Buffalo went in and they gave the Patriots a hard time. Baltimore last night, Monday night, without two of the best defensive players in the league, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, who I think is one of the best safeties. I love
I thought
Ed Reed.
Baltimore was going to get smoked on
A
that
lot
game.
of people thought Baltimore was going to get smoked, and they lost to 20-19 on a late field goal by the Steelers. So
4 minutes, guys.
4 minutes. What I'm trying to say is the NFL is very competitive.
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean, there's not many guaranteed wins.
It's competitive, but you know what I don't like, and hopefully as the season gets stretched out, this will change. I don't like, and not to use your Dolphins as an example, but I don't like a team that's below 500 to be one game out of the race. You know what I mean? I don't like that in any division. You're going to end up with a team over in the NFC, probably West, if I'm thinking of the right division. You're going to end up with, the West would. Is there a crappy team in first place right now? Over in the.
Well, I mean,
Like a 500 record?
what you probably think.
Not
We're looking at these standings. No, you're not too far off. Seattle is 5-2,
Okay.
leading the West.
Oh, yeah, that's a good.
St. Louis is 4-4. Then it's 2-5 and 2-5.
Right.
The North is probably worse than AFC East, although the records are somewhat identical. Chicago's 4-3. Nobody considers them a good football team.
Right.
Yeah, I mean
There's your problem.
They're a decent football team, but they had injury to the quarterback.
They should not
Kyle
be a playoff team.
Detroit is 3-4 in second,
Right.
just like Miami's 3-4 in their division. So
You're going to have a 9-7, maybe even an 8-8 team.
it's
making the
parity, my
playoffs.
friend. Parity.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It doesn't get
Unless
any
you're a
more-
fan and you're a fan of the 49ers, unless you're a fan of the 49ers and Cowboys in the heyday.
I'm a fan of the Cincinnati.
Well, and you're over in the AFC, and you know it's Dallas and the 49ers and the NFC Championship game. That's a Super Bowl. We all knew it.
Right.
I mean, let's face it.
Right.
There was maybe 2-3 teams in the league, and you could say, oh, we might have a chance to beat them. No way. I mean, there was no salary cap. The Michael Irvins and Emmitt Smiths who would stay together for years and years, the Jerry Rices and, John Taylors and Roger Craigs and those guys.
Yep.
I mean, can you really look right now and say, this is the best team, that's the best team? No.
Right.
The Colts are 7-0. Cincinnati, your Bengals are 6-2. Played a pretty good game against Green Bay and Favre, who lost half his team to injury. The New York Giants are turning into a
noticed
bit of
that,
surprise.
yeah.
Them and the Cowboys. I mean, we sat here on our football preview show
Yep.
and just handed the division to Philadelphia. Where's John Turner when we need him?
Right.
And the Eagles are technically in last place.
Right.
They're 4-3.
Because you had two teams in that division. Dallas, neither one of us, I think, were convinced that the Tuna could do anything with that team.
I thought they were going to be decent, but I mean, they're 5-3. The Giants are 5-2. They just
Never
beat the
saw
Redskins
Giants
36-0.
Giants are unpredictable, and they always have been. But now, this year, they've got
Well, Eli
a
Manning
little
is
more.
turning into a good
Yeah.
QB, and I said
As
when
much as I hate him for
he's
what he
turning
did in
into
that
a good
draft.
QB.
Yeah, you're right.
Defensively, they had a solid outing this week. They're somewhat solid. So, I mean, you got Seattle. I mean, NFC is so unpredictable. You just don't know. And the AFC is basically the Colts at 7-0, and your Bengals and the Broncos right now are playing some real good football.
Right, and the problem with you got Broncos are always tough to play at home. That's an advantage to
No
them.
doubt about
They'll
that.
always have a decent record. The Bengals, while they'll play very well, might even make the playoffs. At this point, they would. Because they're so young, I don't necessarily...
Well, they don't have a lot of playoff experience, so you're right. I mean,
that's what I should say, young from playoffs. What's up, Farrah? 1 minute?
About 30 seconds.
All right. Anyway, Cincinnati, don't know how deep they can make it. This is Indianapolis. I don't know if Pat's country, we're supposed to hate Indy, but I think they're exciting to watch with this new defense they have.
well, we'll see. I mean, it's still
Everybody
early.
likes to see one dominant team.
It's
in
not a sprint. It's a marathon, as they say. But it's a
football. Football's a sprint.
We still
Baseball's
got.
a marathon.
Well, that's more of a triathlon.
A triathlon. It's a sports show at yahoo.com. Keep sending us your emails. They keep pouring in. It's ridiculous.
Keep bringing them in. Come on, some football emails.
Look at all these emails.
Wow.
We don't get to read them.
We'll get to them next week.
Thank
There
you,
we go.
Farrah, for doing a wonderful job. At least we think.
Farrah's the best.